Joining us live to discuss his latest article on this very idea is candidate for U.S. Senate from Arizona and retired Major General Mick McGuire. Good morning, General.
Good morning.
Morning, Jessica. Morning, Terrence.
All right, to begin, it is very important for everyone, especially our viewers, to know that you were once in charge of Arizona's National Guard. And I feel it's important for everyone to know because in your latest article, you write that the January 6 investigations need to be into actually what you say is called the unlawful military occupation of D.C. Can you explain for our viewers?
You bet, Jessica. Thank you. 2 days after the incident on January 6th, I was part of a phone call with the Acting Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, the members of the Joint Chiefs, and my colleagues from the 50 states, 3 territories in the district. We were asked to send 6% of the Guard, have them mobilized by 15 January to be in D.C., fully armed and full battle rattle. I asked 3 simple questions. Did President Trump invoke the Insurrection Act? He had not. Did he declare an emergency for civil unrest or a riot? He had not. And did he designate this group a terrorist organization? He did not. Those 3 questions are significant because that is the only legal way to use guardsmen outside the borders of their states in a policing action. Unfortunately, Jessica, I was the only one of the 54 to say I would not participate. It was on that night that I decided that I needed to take off the uniform and consider jumping in to these races. And I'm in the race here to win the 51st vote in the Senate because what I saw is very best case a illegal occupation, worst case a coup or an invasion by the states into the federal district of Washington. Everyone should be concerned.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it President Trump who mobilized or at least authorized the mobilization of National Guard troops to respond if necessary and if called by Congress?
Well, there was discussions, as I understand it. I wasn't part of those calls prior to January 6th about movement of the Guard into the city. And the D.C. National Guard has different unique authorities. They are one of the 54 groups. The issue was moving guardsmen under the command and control of the governors of the several states into the federal district of Washington, the District of Columbia, which is defined in the Constitution as a federal district, under the command and control of the governors. And only the president can authorize that activity. Every American should be chilled by the idea of an unelected bureaucrat, the Acting Secretary of Defense, being able to move 26,000, an entire corps worth of soldiers fully armed, into a major metropolitan area. We have an over 300-year history, Terrence, of rebuffing the idea of having the military police the citizens we're sworn to protect and defend.
So, General, there have been plenty of, people talking about this since last year, January 6th. And you hear some National Guard talk about how they were called to actually protect the Capitol. Is that something that they are okay to be used for, or would that have been a different group, or specifically only the D.C. National Guard? Is your issue that other states' National Guards were asked to be brought in, not so much the D.C. National Guard?
The D.C. National Guard has some unique carve-outs. I think there's about 3,800 of them. But ultimately, Jessica, policing actions are very narrowly defined. There's a law called the Posse Comitatus Act of 1916. It was passed to prevent just this kind of thing. And the only person that can use the Guard outside the borders of a state, when I was the commanding general, Governor Ducey, we mobilized the Guard for civil unrest inside the state of Arizona. Every governor has that authority. And each state's statutes under the 10th Amendment are different. But when they move them out of the state into the federal district of Washington, that has to be under federal authority, under the command and control of the president. All of those soldiers that were in D.C. have legal orders that were not legally used because they were all under the command and control of their governors occupying the District of Columbia.
General McGuire, I have to be honest, I'm kind of unclear about what your goal was with this op-ed. Was it just about getting people information, or what's the ultimate goal here for you? What's the end game?
The ultimate goal, Terrence, is to elevate the discussion and make sure this never happens again. The message of hope this new year for people is that while I was the only one that said no of the initial ask, Biden gets sworn in on the 4th of February, and he asked to extend the mission. As many of you remember, we now had guardsmen sleeping in garages. They weren't getting fed. It was totally disorganized. We moved an entire corps literally in 10 days. And much to my joy, as I stood alone, 42 of my colleagues on February 4th recalled their guys, when President Biden asked to extend that mission through June 1st without proper legal authority. And what I want everyone out there to understand is every officer in uniform is apolitical. They follow legal, moral, ethical orders. But if what you're asked to do, Terrence, isn't legal, you don't judge the morality or efficacy of it. That's why I'm jumping in this race. That's why I need people to go to iPickMick or electmick.com to help me out, because we've got to get someone on the other side of the dais that can take to task the Department of Defense and the people that are walking around the authorities that rest with the duly elected officials, presidents, senators, congressmen, and the rest.
So, General, before we let you go really quickly, obviously President Trump was still the president at that time. Why did he not recall those National Guards back to their states?
Well, as you remember, he was pushed off of Twitter. I remember being in a relatively heated argument with one of my colleagues from the Pentagon, and I said, look, I don't even know what he thinks because everybody censored him off Twitter and social media. I'll take anything that says that he's authorized this. But when I pressed them and said, has he given the order to do this, the answer was no. And every person should be concerned about this. There is only one human as the chief executive that is accountable to all the people. That is the President of the United States, elected by and through the Electoral College.